Captain Hyunwoo sat in his command chair, watching the stars drift past through the main screen. The ship Silent Dawn had been traveling through empty space for weeks. His crew was getting restless. Space patrols were usually boring, but this mission felt different somehow. "Captain, we're getting a signal," said Navigator Soo Young from her station. She was young but very good at her job. Her fingers danced across the control panel. "It's very old and weak." Hyunwoo stood up and walked over to her station. "What kind of signal?" "It looks like an old data beacon. The signal pattern matches human technology from before the Great Exodus." Soo Young's eyes grew wide. "Captain, this could be from Earth." The bridge went silent. Everyone knew the stories. 3,000 years ago, humans lived on a beautiful world called Earth. Then aliens came with terrible weapons that poisoned the air and water. Humans had to run away to survive. They scattered across the galaxy, building new homes on distant worlds. "Are you sure?" asked Dr. Yoon-ji, the ship's scientist. She had studied the old records more than anyone else. Her voice was excited but careful. "The encryption codes match," Soo Young replied. "This beacon is definitely human, and it's definitely old." Commander Tae-min looked up from his weapons console. He was a tough soldier who always expected trouble. "Could be a trap. The Valkorians might be using old human technology to lure us." Hyunwoo thought about this. The Valkorians were the aliens who had driven humans from Earth. They were smart and dangerous. But something about this signal felt real. "Download the beacon data," he ordered. "But keep our shields up and weapons ready." The data took several minutes to download. When it finished, Dr. Yoon-ji began studying it on her computer. Her face went pale as she read. "Captain, you need to see this," she said quietly. The information was shocking. The beacon had been launched from Earth's orbit just before the last human ships escaped. But the most important part was recent data. The beacon had been watching Earth for all these years, sending out reports that no one received. "Earth is alive again," Dr. Yoon-ji whispered. "The poison is gone, the oceans are blue, the forests are green. Life has returned to our homeworld." The crew gathered around her screen. The images showed a beautiful blue and green planet. It looked like the Earth from old stories and pictures. "But that's not all," Dr. Yoon-ji continued. Her voice was angry now. "There are cities on Earth. Big ones. And they're not human cities. The thermal scans showed massive settlements across all the continents. The building patterns were clearly alien. Valkorian ships moved in and out of Earth's atmosphere like they owned the place. They took our world," Tae-min growled. "They poisoned it to drive us away, waited for it to heal, then moved in themselves." Hyunwoo felt rage building in his chest. The Valkorians had not just driven humans from their home. They had stolen it. While humans struggled to survive on harsh colony worlds, the aliens were living in paradise on Earth. "We need to get closer," he said. "We need to see this with our own eyes." "Captain, that's against regulations," Soo Young warned. "We're supposed to report back to command immediately. If we report this now, it will take months for command to organize a proper mission," Hyunwoo replied. "By then, the Valkorians might move their fleets. We need intelligence now." Dr. Yoon-ji nodded. "He's right. We need to know how many of them are down there, what kind of defenses they have, how they've changed our world." Tae-min was already working on his console. "I can modify our stealth systems. We should be able to get close without being detected." The journey to Earth took 3 days. As they got closer, the crew became more excited and more angry. This was their ancestral home. Every human alive had ancestors who once walked on Earth's surface. "There it is," Soo Young breathed as Earth appeared on the main screen. It was even more beautiful than the beacon data had shown. White clouds swirled over blue oceans. Green and brown continents showed forests and grasslands. It looked perfect, but the orbital scans revealed the horrible truth. Massive Valkorian cities covered the landscape. Their ships filled the skies. Earth was crawling with the same aliens who had poisoned it centuries ago. "Look at this," Dr. Yoon-ji said, pointing to her screen. "They've built their main city where Seoul used to be. Our capital is gone, buried under their buildings." Hyunwoo clenched his fists. Seoul was the heart of Korean culture. His ancestors had lived there before the Exodus. Now aliens lived where his family's graves should have been. They erased us, he said quietly. They wiped out every trace of human civilization. Not every trace, Dr. Yoonji replied. She had found something interesting in the scans. There are human artifacts in some of their buildings. It looks like they kept some of our things as decorations or curiosities. This made Hyunwoo even angrier. The Valkorians had turned human history into museum pieces. They were probably showing their children human art and telling them stories about the primitive race that used to live on their world. Captain, we're being scanned, Taemin reported. His voice was tense. Valkorian patrol ships are moving to intercept us. Red lights began flashing on the bridge. The stealth systems were failing. Somehow the aliens had detected them. Get us out of here, Hyunwoo ordered. Plot a course back to human space, maximum speed. Soo-young's fingers flew over her controls. The ship shook as the engines powered up. Space bent around them as they prepared to jump to hyperspace. Jump engines ready, she reported. Jump, Hyunwoo commanded. The stars stretched into lines as silent dawn leaped away from Earth. Behind them, Valkorian ships fired energy weapons into empty space. The humans had escaped, but just barely. As they traveled back to the Korean colonial sectors, the crew sat in stunned silence. They had seen their homeworld. It was beautiful and alive, but it was in the hands of their enemies. What are we going to do? Soo-young asked quietly. Hyunwoo stared at the star charts on his screen. Somewhere behind them was Earth. Somewhere ahead were billions of humans living on colony worlds, not knowing their true home was ready for them to return. We're going to tell them, he said. We're going to tell them what we found. And then, we're going to take our world back. The journey home would take 2 weeks, but Hyunwoo knew that when they arrived, everything would change. Humanity had spent 3,000 years running from their past. Now it was time to face it. The war for Earth was about to begin. 6 months had passed since the Silent Dawn returned with its shocking news. The Korean colonial sectors were in chaos. Every human colony in the galaxy had heard the reports. Earth was alive. Earth was taken. Earth could be reclaimed. Fleet Admiral Boram stood before the Coalition Council in the Great Chamber on New Korea. Representatives from hundreds of human worlds filled the seats. The air was thick with anger and excitement. Fellow humans, Boram began, her voice carrying across the silent chamber. For 3,000 years we have told ourselves we were refugees. We said Earth was lost forever. We were wrong, the crowd murmured. Everyone had seen the images from Captain Hyunwoo's mission. Earth looked like paradise, but it was a paradise stolen by their enemies. The Valkorians did not just drive us from our home, Boram continued. They planned this. They poisoned Earth knowing it would heal. They waited while we suffered on harsh worlds. Then they moved in and claimed our birthright as their own. Angry shouts filled the chamber. Some representatives called for immediate war. Others demanded diplomacy. A few worried about the cost of any action. General Woo Jin stepped forward. He was a big man with scars from many battles. We are not the same humans who fled Earth, he said loudly. 3,000 years of hardship have made us strong. We have better weapons. We have better ships. We know how to survive. In the back of the chamber, Chief Engineer Hae-won was already thinking about weapons. She had been studying captured Valkorian technology for years. Human scientists had learned much about their enemies. We can beat them, she whispered to her assistant. Their shields cannot stop our new plasma weapons. Their ships are slow compared to ours. They have grown soft, living in peace. Not everyone agreed with war. Diplomat Kyung-suk stood up to speak. She was older and had seen many conflicts. War will cost millions of lives, she said. We should try to negotiate first. Perhaps the Valkorians will share Earth with us. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Share Earth? With the aliens who had poisoned it? Many humans thought this was impossible. Captain Hyunwoo watched from the visitors' gallery. He felt guilty about starting this crisis. But when he thought about Valkorian cities built on top of human graves, his guilt turned to rage. Dr. Yunji sat next to him. She had been studying ancient human records since their return. "I found something important," she whispered to Hyunwoo. "The Valkorians have been planning to take Earth for thousands of years. This was never about resources or territory. They wanted our specific world." "Why?" Hyunwoo asked. "Earth is perfect for their biology. Their homeworld is dying. They needed a new paradise, so they stole ours." This news spread quickly through the chamber. The Valkorians had not attacked humans by accident. They had targeted Earth specifically. The war 3,000 years ago had been planned genocide. Fleet Admiral Boram called for order. "We have sent diplomatic messages to Valkorian space," she announced. "They have ignored them all. Some of our ambassadors' ships were destroyed. The aliens have made their position clear." The vote was quick. Every human colony agreed. They would prepare for war. Over the following months, the largest military force in human history began to assemble. Ships arrived from every corner of the galaxy. Soldiers volunteered by the millions. Factories worked day and night building weapons and supplies. Chief Engineer Haiwan's new technologies amazed everyone. Human plasma cannons could cut through Valkorian armor like paper. Their new ships were faster and more maneuverable than anything the aliens had. Most importantly, humans had developed artificial intelligence systems that could outthink Valkorian battle computers. "We are not just fighting to retake Earth," General Wu Jin told his officers. "We are fighting to prove that humans cannot be erased. We are fighting for every ancestor who died in exile. We are fighting for our children's future." The Terra Restoration Initiative grew into a massive organization. Every human world contributed something. Some provided ships and weapons. Others sent food and supplies. Many offered their young people as soldiers. Captain Hyunwoo was promoted to Commodore and given command of a scouting fleet. His job was to map Valkorian defenses and find weak points for the main assault. Commander Tae-min was transferred to the new Special Forces Division. These elite soldiers would conduct the most dangerous missions behind enemy lines. Navigator Soo-young became the youngest ship captain in human history. Her skills with hyperspace navigation were crucial for moving large fleets quickly and safely. The Valkorians were not idle during this time. Their spies learned about human preparations. They sent their own fleets to the edges of human space, trying to intimidate the colonies into surrendering. The first contact between the opposing fleets happened near the Tau Ceti system. A large Valkorian battle group appeared and demanded to speak with human leaders. "We know you are preparing for war," the alien commander broadcast. "This is foolish. Earth belongs to us now. We have lived there for 3,000 years. It is our world legally and by right of occupation." Fleet Admiral Boram herself responded to this message. She appeared on screens throughout both fleets, her uniform displaying the symbols of Earth that humans had carried into exile. "You stole our world," she said simply. "You murdered billions of our people. You erased our civilization. Now you claim legal rights? There is only one law that matters here, the law of justice." The Valkorian commander tried to sound threatening. "You cannot defeat us, we are too strong. We have controlled this region of space for millennia." Boram smiled coldly. "Then you should have learned something in all that time. You should have learned not to underestimate humans." She gave a signal, and space around the Valkorian fleet suddenly filled with human warships. They had been hiding, using stealth technology the aliens could not detect. In seconds, the Valkorians were surrounded. "This is your only warning," Boram continued. "Leave Earth now, or we will remove you by force. You have 1 week to begin evacuation." The alien commander was shocked. His fleet was outnumbered 3-1. His sensors showed that human weapons were much more advanced than intelligence reports had suggested. "This is impossible," he whispered. "How did primitive refugees become so powerful?" The Valkorian fleet retreated, but they sent a final message. "We will not abandon our home. If you want Earth, you will have to take it from our dead bodies." Fleet. Admiral Boram nodded grimly. "As you wish." The human fleets began moving toward Earth. The journey would take several months, but there was no turning back now. Every human alive knew what was happening. Children drew pictures of Earth. Adults shared stories they had heard from their grandparents. Everyone waited for news from the front lines. Chief Engineer He Wan made final improvements to the fleet's weapons. General Wu Jin trained his soldiers for the hardest battles they would ever fight. Commodore Hyun Woo scouted ahead, mapping the defenses around humanity's stolen homeworld. Dr. Yunji worked with historians from every colony to prepare for Earth's liberation. They wanted to identify important human sites that needed protection. They also wanted to preserve whatever remained of human culture on the planet. The time for talking was over. The time for justice had begun. Humanity was going home. General Wu Jin crouched behind a broken wall on the asteroid base. His special forces team was completely silent. They had been waiting for 3 hours, watching the Valkorian guards patrol the outer defenses. "Target confirmed," whispered Lieutenant Do Hyun into his radio. He was young but already famous for his skills in combat. 12 guards, same pattern as yesterday. Major Yejin was studying the alien behavior through her scanner. She understood how Valkorian minds worked better than most humans. "They're relaxed," she reported quietly. No signs of alert status. This was the 5th Valkorian outpost they had attacked in 2 months. Each raid taught them more about their enemies. The aliens had grown lazy after centuries of easy victories. They expected humans to run away like they always had. "Move in," General Wu Jin ordered. His team moved like shadows. Their new combat suits made no sound and could not be seen by Valkorian sensors. Within minutes, they had disabled the guards and captured the base. Inside, they found exactly what they expected. Maps showing Valkorian fleet positions, communication, codes, defense plans. The aliens were not even trying to hide their information properly. "Look at this," Major Yejin called from a computer terminal. "They have detailed files on human colonies. They've been watching us for decades, planning more attacks." Lieutenant Do Hyun found something worse. "General, you need to see this. They have biological weapons stored here, the same kind they used to poison Earth." Wu Jin's face went dark with anger. The Valkorians were planning to use their poison weapons again. They wanted to destroy the human colonies just like they had destroyed Earth. "Destroy everything," he ordered. "Take the intelligence data and blow this place up. Make sure the bioweapons are completely eliminated." As his team prepared the explosives, Wu Jin contacted the main fleet. "This is Raid Team 7. Mission successful. Intelligence package ready for transmission." The information they gathered was sent directly to Fleet Admiral Boram. She was commanding the largest human military force ever assembled. Over 10,000 warships were moving toward Earth, carrying millions of soldiers. Captain Jin Ho was flying his fighter patrol near the edge of the fleet. His squadron was testing the new space superiority fighters that Chief Engineer He Wan had designed. The ships were fast and deadly, with weapons that could destroy Valkorian fighters in seconds. "Control, this is Hawk Squadron," he reported. "All systems green, ready for combat operations." The new fighters were amazing. They could turn faster than anything the Valkorians had. Their energy shields could stop alien weapons. Most importantly, they were controlled by artificial intelligence that helped human pilots make perfect decisions in combat. "Hawk Squadron, we have contact," came the reply from Fleet Control. "Valkorian patrol ships approaching from Sector 7, intercept and engage." Jinho smiled inside his helmet. This would be the first real test of human technology against Valkorian ships. "All pilots, follow my lead," he commanded. "Remember your training. Use your speed advantage." The 6 human fighters accelerated toward the enemy. Valkorian sensors detected them immediately, but the aliens could not believe what they were seeing. The human ships were moving much faster than should be possible. "Human fighters, you are in Valkorian space," came a radio message. "Retreat immediately or be destroyed." Jinho laughed. "Valkorian ships, you are in our galaxy. Surrender immediately or be destroyed." The battle lasted less than 5 minutes. The human fighters danced around the slower alien ships, hitting them with precise energy blasts. The Valkorian shields collapsed quickly under the new plasma weapons. 4 enemy ships destroyed, Jinho reported. No human casualties. These new fighters are incredible. Word of the victory spread throughout the human fleet. Morale was already high, but now it reached new levels. Human technology was clearly superior to Valkorian equipment. Back on the command ship, Fleet Admiral Boram was studying intelligence reports from all the raids. The picture was becoming clear. The Valkorians had many ships, but they were old and slow. Their soldiers were well equipped, but had no experience fighting serious enemies. They've been the rulers of this region for so long they forgot how to fight, she told her staff officers. They expect everyone to surrender when they show up. Chief Engineer Heywan had more good news. Our new quantum communication system is working perfectly, she reported. The Valkorians cannot intercept our messages or jam our signals. We can coordinate our forces better than they can. General Wu Jin's raids had revealed the locations of major Valkorian fleet bases. Most of their warships were concentrated around Earth, exactly as expected, but they also had reserve fleets scattered throughout their territory. We need to be careful, warned Commodore Hyunwoo. He had been scouting the approaches to Earth for weeks. They have more ships than we expected. If they combine all their fleets, they might outnumber us. Fleet Admiral Boram studied the tactical displays. Red symbols showed Valkorian positions. Blue symbols showed human forces. The math was close, but humans had advantages beyond numbers. We don't need to fight all their ships at once, she decided. We hit their outlying bases first, force them to spread their defenses. Then we strike at Earth before they can reorganize. The plan was bold, but risky. Human forces would split into multiple attack groups. Each group would hit different targets simultaneously. The Valkorians would not know where the main assault was coming from until it was too late. Captain Jinho's fighter squadrons would provide reconnaissance and hit enemy communications. General Wu Jin's special forces would sabotage key installations. The main battle fleets would engage the largest Valkorian forces directly. Dr. Yunji had been working with the intelligence teams to identify important targets on Earth itself. The Valkorians have built their planetary command center where Seoul used to be, she reported. If we can capture it, we can control their entire defense network. Major Ye Jin had studied Valkorian psychology extensively. They will fight hardest to protect their command structures, she warned. But if we can break their central command, the rest of their forces will become confused and disorganized. The human fleet was now only days away from Valkorian space. Soldiers checked their equipment. Pilots prepared their fighters. Engineers made final adjustments to weapons and shields. Lieutenant Do Hyun was promoted to captain for his excellent performance on the Special Forces missions. He would lead one of the assault teams that would land on Earth itself. I never thought I would see our homeworld, he told his squad. My great-grandfather used to tell stories about Earth, green forests, and blue oceans. Now we're going to walk where our ancestors walked. The Valkorians were preparing too. Their spies had reported the size of the human fleet. For the first time in centuries, they faced a real threat to their power. Emergency messages flew between Valkorian worlds. Reserve fleets were called up. Old weapons were brought out of storage. The aliens who had spent generations living in luxury were learning to prepare for war. On Earth, Overlord Krax commanded the planetary defenses. He was an old warrior who remembered the original war against humanity. He had watched human refugees flee in terror. Now those same humans were coming back with the largest fleet he had ever seen. Impossible, he muttered, looking at intelligence reports. How did they become so strong? But deep down he knew the answer. 3,000 years of survival in hostile space had forged humanity into something much tougher than their ancestors. They were no longer refugees. They were predators returning to reclaim their territory. The first major battle was about to begin. Human forces were crossing into Valkorian space at multiple points. The war for Earth had started. The first human ships to enter Earth's solar system in 3,000 years were Commodore Hyunwoo's scouts. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the blue and white planet on the main screen. Even knowing it was occupied by enemies, Earth was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. All ships report ready, announced his communications officer. Behind them, Fleet Admiral Boram's massive armada was spreading out across the solar system. Over 8,000 warships prepared for the largest battle in human history. "There it is," whispered Navigator Su Young, now captain of her own destroyer, our real home. Tears ran down the faces of veteran spacers who had never expected to see their ancestral world, but their sadness quickly turned to anger. Valkorian ships filled Earth's orbit like a swarm of insects. Enemy stations and defense platforms surrounded the planet. "Contact," reported the sensor operator. "Valkorian fleet moving to intercept. I count over 6,000 ships. The enemy had been waiting for them. Overlord Krax had pulled every available ship to defend Earth. This would be the decisive battle. All ships, prepare for combat," Fleet Admiral Boram ordered across the fleet communication system. "Today we take back our world. Today we show the galaxy that humanity cannot be erased." The space battle began with a massive exchange of energy weapons. Human plasma cannons carved through Valkorian shields like they were made of paper. But the aliens had numbers and good defensive positions. Captain Jin Ho led his fighter squadrons in hit-and-run attacks against enemy command ships. The new human fighters were much faster than anything the Valkorians had. They struck quickly and vanished before the enemy could respond. "Hawk leader to all squadrons," he broadcast. "Target their communication arrays first. Blind them before the main assault begins." The Valkorian fleet was huge, but their ships were old and slow. Human vessels danced around them, using superior speed and weapons to devastating effect. Within hours, the enemy formation began to fall apart. "Their fleet is breaking up," reported Commodore Hyunwoo. Multiple enemy groups retreating to different sectors, but Fleet Admiral Boram was focused on the planet below. "Begin orbital bombardment of military targets only. Do not hit civilian areas or historical sites." General Wu Jin was aboard the first assault transport heading for Earth's surface. His ground forces were equipped with the best weapons and armor human technology could provide. Powered battle suits made each soldier stronger and faster. Energy weapons could cut through Valkorian defenses easily. "Remember," he told his officers, over the radio, "we're not just conquering territory. We're coming home. Every piece of ground we take back is a piece of human heritage restored." The first landing sites were beaches on what used to be the Korean peninsula. General Wu Jin wanted to retake Seoul first, since it had been the heart of Korean civilization before the Exodus, but the Valkorians were waiting for them. As human ships approached the surface, ground-based weapons opened fire. Energy beams and missiles filled the sky. "Heavy resistance at Landing Zone Alpha," reported Captain Do Hyun. His Special Forces team was among the first to reach the ground. "Enemy fortifications are stronger than expected." The Valkorians had spent centuries building defenses on Earth. They had turned human cities into fortress complexes. What should have been a quick landing became a fierce battle. "Push forward," General Wu Jin ordered. "Use the terrain to your advantage. These aliens don't know how to fight on Earth's surface as well as we do." This was true. Humans had evolved on Earth. Even after 3,000 years in space, they instinctively understood how to move and fight in Earth's gravity and atmosphere. The Valkorians were visitors who had never quite adapted. Major Ye Jin's intelligence unit had identified key enemy positions. "The main command bunker is under the ruins of Old Seoul," she reported. "If we can take it, we can disrupt their entire planetary defense network." The battle for Seoul was brutal. Valkorian defenders used the city's buildings as cover, firing from windows and rooftops. Human soldiers had to fight for every street and every block. But they had advantages the aliens could not match. Human weapons were more powerful. Human armor was more protective. Most importantly, human soldiers were fighting for their ancestral home. "This is where my great-grandfather was born," Captain Do-hyun told his squad as they advanced through the ruined streets. "Every step we take brings his spirit back to where it belongs." Dr. Yoonji was with the second wave of landing forces. Her job was to identify and protect important human historical sites. But what she found broke her heart. "They turned our museums into their entertainment centers," she reported angrily. "Human artifacts are displayed like curiosities. Korean art is labeled as primitive local crafts. The Valkorians had not just stolen Earth. They had insulted human culture and history. This made the human soldiers fight even harder. In orbit, the space battle was turning in humanity's favor. Captain Jin-ho's fighters had destroyed most of the enemy communication systems. Valkorian ships were operating independently, unable to coordinate their defense. "Enemy fleet command ship identified," reported his wingman. "It's that big one near the moon." Jin-ho smiled grimly. "All squadrons, follow me. Let's cut the head off the snake." The attack on the Valkorian command ship was swift and decisive. Human fighters swarmed around the massive vessel, targeting its engines and weapons. Within minutes, the pride of the enemy fleet was drifting helplessly in space. On the ground, General Wu Jin's forces had reached the outskirts of the Valkorian command complex. The aliens were making their last stand in the bunkers beneath Seoul. "Overlord Krax is down there," Major Yejin reported. "Intelligence indicates he's personally commanding the defense." Krax was the alien who had overseen the original attack on humanity. He had watched human refugees flee Earth in terror. Now he was about to face the descendants of those refugees, returned as conquerors. "He's mine," General Wu Jin said quietly. "This ends with him." The assault on the command bunker was the most difficult part of the entire battle. Valkorian defenders fought desperately, knowing that capture meant the end of their occupation of Earth. Human soldiers advanced through narrow tunnels filled with enemy weapons. Energy beams and explosions lit up the underground complex. The battle was room-to-room, hand-to-hand combat. Captain Do-hyun led the team that finally broke through to the main command center. Inside, they found Overlord Krax surrounded by his remaining officers. The old alien warrior looked at the human soldiers with something that might have been respect. "So the refugees have become wolves," he said in accented human language. "I underestimated your species." "Surrender," General Wu Jin ordered as he entered the room. "Your forces are defeated. Your fleet is destroyed. Earth belongs to humanity again." Krax looked around at his fallen officers, then at the human soldiers surrounding him. "I remember when your people ran from this world like frightened children. Now you return as conquerors. Perhaps we deserve to lose." The formal surrender took place on the steps of what had once been Seoul's City Hall. Valkorian commanders throughout Earth laid down their weapons. The 3,000-year occupation was over, but victory came with a cost. Thousands of human soldiers had died in the battle. Many important historical sites had been damaged in the fighting. Earth was free, but it would take time to heal. Fleet Admiral Bo-ram stood in the ruins of Seoul, looking up at the sky where human ships now controlled the orbits. "We're home," she said simply. "After all these centuries of exile, we're finally home." Captain Jin-ho landed his fighter on what used to be Seoul's main airport. As he climbed out of his cockpit, he knelt down and touched the ground with his hand. He was the first human pilot to land on Earth in 3,000 years. Dr. Yoonji was already planning the restoration of human historical sites. "We'll rebuild everything," she promised. "Korean culture, human culture, all of it will live again on our home world." The liberation of Earth was complete, but now came the harder task of deciding what to do with their victory and their enemies. The war was over. The real work was just beginning. 1 year after the liberation, Fleet Admiral Bo-ram walked through the construction sites of New Seoul. The city was rising from the ruins like a flower growing through concrete. Human architects had designed buildings that honored both the ancient Korean heritage and the advanced technology learned during the long exile. "Progress report," she said to Chief Engineer Hae-won, who was overseeing the reconstruction efforts. "Better than expected," Hae-won replied, wiping sweat from her forehead. "We've cleared most of the Valkorian structures and found the foundations of the original city underneath. In some places, we can rebuild exactly where our ancestors lived." Bo-ram had been elected as Earth's first president in over 3 millennia. It was a job she never wanted, but someone had to make the difficult decisions about humanity's future on their reclaimed homeworld. The biggest challenge was not rebuilding cities. It was deciding what to do with the surviving Valkorians. Over 2 million aliens still lived on Earth when the war ended. Many had been born there and knew no other home. The war crimes trials begin next week, reported General Wu Jin. He now served as Earth's Minister of Justice, responsible for dealing with the aftermath of the occupation. Some humans wanted revenge. They argued that every Valkorian on Earth was guilty of stealing human territory. Others, including President Boram, believed that justice was different from vengeance. "We are not like them," she had told the Global Assembly during the debates. "We will not become genocidal conquerors. We will be just, but we will also be merciful." The compromise was difficult, but fair. Valkorian war criminals would be tried and punished. Those who had committed no crimes beyond living on occupied Earth would be allowed to leave safely, returning to their own worlds with full pardons. Dr. Yunji had become Earth's Director of Cultural Restoration. Her teams were working across the planet to rebuild human historical sites and recover artifacts from the occupation period. "Look at this," she said,